Hey, Steve Stine here from Guitar Zoom. Thank you so much for joining me again. Today we're going to be talking about setting up the proper mindset for your practice. Understanding what it is that you're going to be doing, how you're going to do it, making a game plan for yourself so you're not just running through the same motions all the time. So number one, what I would do is I would set yourself up with some sort of a warm-up routine, depending on how much time you have, depending on the age you're doing, you're practicing, depending on the amount of strenuous practice that you're going to be doing. I always tell people you want to get warmed up both physically and mentally. Okay, so physically, doing some hand stretches. Again, if you're listening to this, you're not going to be able to see any hand stretches anyway, so I'm not going to talk about specific hand stretches, but doing hand stretches that are beneficial for you to get your hands warmed up. You can run them underwater, you can pinch the tips of your fingers, stretch out your wrists, massage your forearms, anything like that to kind of get you warmed up. The second thing is doing some sort of an actual warm-up routine, something that you don't have to think about for the day. It's just when you grab the guitar, you do the 20-second exercise, or you do the 2-minute picking drills, you do the spider walk, whatever it might be. You work on your down picking, you work on your alternate picking. For me, it's always three parts. Number one is your fretting hand has legato work to do, strength, speed, and stamina. Your picking hand has down picking and alternate picking drills to do, and those could be anything from, absolute beginner picking through, learning some songs, things like that, to some real basic skills to develop. Like I said, the spider walk, some of those chromatic kinds of things that you can do and advance from there. You could also do some scale work in that. So maybe part of your practice routine is just rolling through the 5 positions of pentatonic, or 2 positions if that's all you know, or 3 positions of diatonic. Again, whatever it is that you do. But that's your core thing that every day you can default to get yourself warmed up, get yourself in the right place, start working up your energy, getting yourself synchronized, that sort of thing. And then from there, you move into other opportunities of practice, depending on how much time you have. So here at the Academy, at the Guitar Zoom Academy, what we try and do is develop you a daily and a weekly concept of how to practice. So your daily is your core. These are the things that, in order for you to be able to reach your goals, these are the things that you need to focus on a daily basis, with time allowed, obviously. If you're busy that day, it's going to be less practice that day. If you've got more time that day, you're going to practice more that day. But that daily routine that you do, and then what we do is we interject weekly concepts. So maybe one day, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you're focusing on songs, learning songs, or maybe you're focusing on fretboard study, or maybe you're focusing on, improvisation, and maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays, you're focusing on theory, and then Saturdays, you're going to put this all together and maybe make a video of yourself playing something. There's a lot of different ways to approach that, but having a game plan of multiple opportunities, a core thing that you do every day, and then these other elements that you're going to get to on a weekly basis. And I don't mean once a week. I mean, a couple, 3 times a week, you're going to shift these things in and out. We help you set that up. So for me, that's the proper mindset, is knowing what it is that you're supposed to do, why it is that you're working on it, but getting yourself warmed up, get your mind warmed up, okay? Getting ready for what it is that you're going to be trying to work on. That's really, really important. And then you go through the routine. Now, once you get done, you might need to do some sort of a cool down where you do some stretching again, that sort of thing. The other thing I always like to remind people too is that depending on what your life looks like, if you do a lot of traveling for work, or, whatever it might be, whether it's in a plane, whether it's just driving to work every day and you're at work 5 days a week, and you're not sitting around with 3 hours or 4 hours of practice every day, it's okay. Another thing that you can learn how to do is work on the mental and conceptual stuff when your guitar is not around you or not available to be played. I don't have a percentage, but half of my practice is done driving in a car, listening to music, figuring out how things go, or on a plane studying things, studying fretboard roadmaps, or studying theory, or things that might have not even pertain to guitar, other things that I want to learn how to do as well. Having that study time as far as guitar goes. Maybe you're learning a theory thing. Maybe you're working on your fretboard. When I was in high school, during my study hall, when I got my homework done, I would always pull out a piece of paper and I would draw out, or I'd have one that's drawn and it's in my folder, my fretboard, and then I would draw concepts on my fretboard, be it a pentatonic concept or an arpeggio thing, or, a cage thing, which back at that time, I really wasn't familiar with cage, but you get the idea. You can draw these out, and then when you've got time, you just do study. like you sit and memorize and visualize that fretboard. So by the time you get home, you've already thought about this. You've thought about what it looks like. You've thought about how navigation would go. And then you could take that piece of paper and stick it on a music stand and then start practicing what you thought about before, but now with the guitar physically in your hands. It's a great way to optimize your time. So you're not just waiting, to get home to your guitar, and then there's this ritual that you've got to go downstairs and you got to do all this stuff. And then you've got the guitar in your hands and you're studying theory, or you've got your guitar in your hands and you're trying to study the fretboard. You're kind of wasting time at that point. Like what you could have done at some other point in the day or the week or whatever is done some studying, some mental work, right? Conceptual ideas in your head. And then when you get to your guitar, you now start applying those ideas. So you're saving yourself time. And of course, in the academy, we can teach you how to do that, set you up with the right things that you need. But it's something to think about in trying to optimize the way that you practice, because people are always like, well, I only have 30 minutes a day to practice, or I only have 20 minutes a day to practice, or, okay, that's fine. Listen, you've made this choice, whether it's elected or whether it's mandatory, of how much time you have a day. Okay, something is better than nothing. Don't adopt the all or nothing attitude where you have to practice for 3 hours or you're not going to practice at all. It's a terrible way of thinking of things. Practice on the days that you eat. Even if it's 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, you can still make progress as long as you're working on the right things. That's what makes all the difference in the world, is working on the right things. If you're just practicing, you might be getting better at X or Y or D or L, but the problem is if they're not cohesive and they're not getting you to point A to point F on your ladder of what it is that you really want to accomplish, the problem is you're wasting a lot of time by working on things that are not necessarily relevant to what your goals are. So it's very important to have a game plan, know what it is that you need to be doing, why it is you're doing it, and how to approach it when you've got days where you don't have a lot of practice time. You've got days when you do have a lot of practice time, setting all of that up. And if you have a problem with that, if you struggle with that, that's one of the primary things that we work on inside the Guitar Zoom Academy, among actually working personally with you literally on a daily basis to make sure everything's going the way it needs to go. Again, stay positive, keep practicing, get yourself an effective practice routine that will get you where you want to go in a much shorter amount of time, not because of some magic pill, but because A, you've got a game plan. You know what it is that you need to do to get to where you want to go, and you know what you want to get to. B, you're willing to put in the work, whether it's 20 minutes a day, whether it's 2 hours a day. You're willing to grab that guitar on a daily basis, make that guitar your friend again, dust off that guitar, make it a motivational thing so you want to pick it up every day. And then the third thing is being able to have help, get clarity, get assessments of your playing on a regular basis so you know that things are moving the way that they need to be moving. It's really important. All right? So take care, stay positive, be blessed, and thank you for your time. Thank you always for your time, and I'll talk to you soon, all right?